Today we're going to be talking about all of our FactCite databases. I hope you'll all get FactCited, and I'm going to be sharing with you our newest database, which is Milestone Documents Online, a collection of primary sources for from ancient times to the present, United States and world history. Here we go. I'm Susan Gall from FactCite Lincoln Library Online. Um, our proctor told me to tell you that if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and just ask a question. Otherwise, I'm just going to be going along and talking about our databases. FactSite includes databases for students at all grade levels, from the youngest researchers in primary grades through high school. Our K to 8 bundle, which includes 6 databases, is really great for, guess what, grades kindergarten through 8th grade. And each database is linked with the Step Up to a Reading Challenge icon, which I'll be showing you in a minute. I'll demonstrate the audio read-along and citation options. We have Google Classroom, NoodleTools. We've also recently partnered with ClassLink and Schoology, and FactSite is also accessible for integration with Clever. So we're ready to integrate with all of your learning management systems. I'm also going to be, as I said, talking about Milestone Documents Online. We're really excited about this resource. It's a high school resource, and it's an incredibly rich and robust collection, but also quite accessible for high school researchers. Okay, let's get started. Now I'm going to share my FactSite screen with all of you. Are you now seeing the Hello Virtual CSLA screen? Okay, great. So FactSite is a collection of databases. So if your school subscribes to just FactSite 123, which is our resource for youngest researchers, the only icon tile you would see on your screen is this one. If you subscribe to everything we have, you would see all of these icons. And you can mix and match for your school depending on what your interests and what your needs are. I'm going to start with FactSite 123 Lingo. This is our really exciting resource for students in English and Spanish, and it has a unique interactive interface. So you can see here, I'm going to go back one screen. This database includes modules in academic topics. So we have biography, mythology, then we've got, I think, 6 modules in science: the elements, solar system, earth science, landforms, biomes, and animals. Then we have social studies content: countries, states, landmarks, and these are our 2 newest ones: health, this covers the parts of the body, germs, etc., and simple machines, which talks about the wedge, the lever, etc. Animals is one of the most popular modules, so I'm going to show you that one. And let's take a look at the frog. So this is the way this particular database works for the English and Spanish. You can hover your mouse, or in a touchscreen environment, put your finger on the paragraph, hold the mouse down, and the Spanish language is revealed. And when you take your finger off the mouse, it goes away. So it's just designed to support students who are learning English, give them a little support to check, am I reading that correctly? Did I get that vocabulary word right? And it's designed to really support the acquisition of academic vocabulary. If you have kids who are learning Spanish and they want Spanish to be the primary display, you click this little symbol in the upper right-hand corner, and it toggles the language to display Spanish and reveal the English. Like all FactSite databases, our links are persistent. That means if your teacher wants to link to this particular article, she can choose this link. It'll always come to the frogs article. And we have Add to Google Classroom here. Students can also opt to look at the article in pages. You can see this is an 11-page article with a limited amount of text per page. Or you can choose the one-page option that requires scrolling, but it allows the student to make their way through and look for those text features that they need to find the subtopics that are included in every entry. So that's FactCite Lingo. It exactly parallels FactCite 123. FactCite 123 does not have the Spanish language translation. It has all the same modules, but it has another feature that's been pretty exciting for our early adopters of this database. This is a fairly new database for us. This time I'll choose goldfish. We included a lot of illustrations that hopefully kids find engaging. Sometimes people say to us, your screen designs look awfully simple. Well, we worked with an International Reading Association consultant to design our screens to keep the amount of text limited so that students aren't overwhelmed. But we also kept the screen design simple so that if a student who's older, who's reading below grade level, needs to be referred to this database, we call it stigma-free. It doesn't seem like a baby resource. They can go through the article. The sentences are short, but they'll be able to get the information that they need for their homework assignment. Another feature sometimes people ask us about are clickable tabs. We don't have clickable tabs at the top of the article to take the student to the subheadings. Again, our reading experts said kids aren't going to have clickable tabs on standardized tests or in the real world when they're reading. So we hope that students learn to find information by using the text features. When you get to the end of the article, if your subscription includes our science database in this case, Step Up to a Reading Challenge is enacted. It'll be visible. You click here, and it takes the student directly to our Lincoln Library of Science Animals module. Article on the goldfish. It's a higher reading level. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. The articles are unrelated to each other, but it'll take them, every single FactCite 123 article connects to an article at the next reading level in another FactCite database. Okay, next we have our 4 biography databases. Biography for Beginners, which is a collection of 800 biographies, famous people in history and contemporary figures. We just added the new Newbery and Caldecott winners. In fact, if you search this database for Caldecott, you will see that we have 48 matching entries. For some reason, the images aren't coming up right now, but everybody that's won, this is this year's winner, I believe. You can see here the article has lots of illustrations, and we include the contemporary and historic figures. So your students will be able to find lots of people to research. They can search using the Google style search, they can search using the alphabetical index, and they can also rely on the topical indexes. So if they're looking for an inventor, there's an inventor's index. This month, African American leaders has been a popular index, and we've tagged here anybody who's a person of accomplishment in their field of endeavor, not just civil rights activists or social activists. So Hank Aaron, Alvin Ailey, Kwame Alexander, Beyonce is here, Frederick Douglass, all the people that your students like to read about, and maybe some that they didn't even know they were interested in. We also have an index here that covers country of birth, and we have an index if we were in Texas. This is the Texas biography standards in their social studies framework, and we also have an index by Lexile or reading level. Our other 3 biography databases were, well, a lot of FactSite content actually comes from formerly print products. So Biography for Beginners was formerly twice a year collective biography subscription. Sports Champions was formerly Lincoln Library of Sports Champions, 14-volume encyclopedia. Shapers of Society, also a 7-volume encyclopedia. And these biographies came from various print resources covering mostly historic people worldwide. So that is to say, most of these people are dead. But there are some living figures. We have all the Supreme Court justices included here, some notable people who are working in different fields of endeavor. You see here's Warren Buffett. And you can search by state of birth. You can look for the people who were born in your state or whose name is included in who at some time worked in your state, or you can search by country. And a good way to do that is also by the Google style search. Okay, world mythology. This is our one of our most heavily used databases. We don't have the largest number of subscribers to this database, but if your school includes mythology in the curriculum, this is a really great resource for you. We have the Greek and Roman gods, of course. This was originally 5-volume Lincoln Library of Greek and Roman Mythology, but we've also added the mythologies of the world. So, the new Rick Riordan series, I guess it's not that new now, was based on Norse mythology. We've already seen an uptick in searches on these entries. Lots of information about the Norse myths. Um, and some of the special features that are a little bit hidden gems in this database are, if you click here on this green bar, there's a tab that says Classroom Plays. 6 myths are presented in classroom play format, and there's always a role for the chorus, which means everybody in the class can participate. This is a really terrific activity for remote learning because kids can participate in a Zoom setting. Every student can be participating using the uh, chorus role for everyone in the class, and then the other 4 roles for individual students. The plays can be easily presented in a single class period, say 30 minutes or so. So I encourage you to take a look at that. That's a great activity for substitute teachers or for some time when you are looking for an activity where everybody can participate. We have 3 resources for American history. I just saw a couple of people came in. May I ask if you're what grade level your your library is? You can unmute yourself and just let me know. Are you high school, elementary, district? Or you could post a note in the chat too, because I want to be sure I give you the information that you need. 3 resources in American history. This first one is a general encyclopedia on American history. It was formerly a 20-volume encyclopedia in print, which we have I would say about 60% of the content was formerly in print. We've enhanced the content significantly with new entries. You see there's a special section on the Spanish missions in California. We actually did this at the request of one of our California subscribers because I think all students in California study this topic. The missions are all covered, main facts at the top, then there's a paragraph. There are paragraphs following giving the history, more information. I should mention at this point that every article in FactSite has audio read-along, which you can click on the arrow and the article will be read to you. Each individual student can customize that. So that's a really great way if you have students who are struggling readers, they can use the audio read-along. We use the same service that Gale and many others use. It's Read Speaker. It's not, it's a little bit of a robotic voice, but it's really pretty clear. And the reason that we use that, there are 3 reasons we use it. One, we update FactSite weekly. So using Read Speaker allows us to update our articles and not worry about having to re-record the text. 2, FactSite database subscriptions are very affordable, and this is one of the reasons why we can keep them affordable. The Read Speaker subscription is much less expensive than recording, having a custom recording for every article. And finally, we have thousands and thousands of articles, and it would just be overwhelming for us to be able to maintain those in a recorded format. So the Read Speaker works really quite well for our subscribers. Again, Google style search, alphabetical listing, these are popular, most frequently researched topics here at the top. And then each of these sections is expandable. This is a terrific section on the Constitution. Eras and Wars in American History covers all of the, obviously, eras. Each of these is expandable. They're well illustrated. And one note I might make about our illustrations, at the bottom of every FactSite page, and I'm going to scroll to the bottom here, you'll find that our footer includes this text. Students may use, with credit, text and images on this site in homework assignments. We know you all like to teach your students about copyright, and you can direct them to this statement. We do allow students permission to use our text and images. And if they, I'm going to find an image here, an example of an image. So if they wanted to use this image of Jacques Cartier, if you right click and open it, you can save the image. It will be saved out with the caption and the credit so that students know where we got the image, and they'll be able to include that in whatever they're using to make presentations nowadays. So that's our General American History database, and this is appropriate for 4th to 6th graders or even older students if they're researching particular topics. Our two additional American History databases are Defining Moments in American History and Milestone Documents, our newest resource. Defining Moments in American History was based on a print series from Omni Graphics. Each one of these hot linked modules represents about a 250-page book. So each one of these is an in-depth coverage of the particular topic. We present them here in alphabetical order and also in timeline order. So you can see the earliest movement or event in American history is the writing of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. It goes through the timeline, through the Civil War era, all the eras of American history. The most recent module is the events of September 11th. I'm going to show you how these are organized. Let's choose Battle of Gettysburg. I think that's a frequently researched topic. So the topic in depth is the series of essays that are covered for every one of these topics. And the first essay always talks about what were the circumstances in existence in our country at the time of the event. And the last one talks about the legacy, or why do we care about this event. If it's Woodstock, if it's Roe v. Wade, Stonewall riots, the history of the LGBT movement, they're all going to be organized in the same way. So the first essay talks about what were the conditions or the circumstances at that moment in history. The last essay says, why do we care about it today? And the essays in the middle talk about different aspects of the particular event or movement. There's always a timeline included. There are topic spotlights. These would have been the sidebars in the book. They're little interesting fun facts, you might say. And then this is one of the features that especially younger high school students have really appreciated, and that is these are curated primary sources selected by the editors of these volumes to cover or to show different aspects of the event. So here we have a rebel officer remembers Pickett's charge. This is at the top, our FactSite signature abstract. It tells you a little bit about the document and puts it in context. And then the text of the document follows. A good companion to that one is, I just did you, rebel officer, right? A Yankee soldier recalls Pickett's charge. So a student would be able to contrast those 2 points of view using primary sources that are accessible to a younger researcher. This allows students to find primary sources without searching an archive, which can sometimes be overwhelming. You get an overwhelming number of hits. You don't know which ones are really appropriate for your topic when you search an archive. So this and our new Milestone documents help to overcome that. Here we have biographies of notable people. That's included in every single one of these modules. And here's another thing that librarians have really reported that teachers like. Students need essay topic ideas or research project ideas, or teachers need topics for discussion. So every single one of these modules has some essay prompts, or you could call them discussion prompts. List reasons why the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860 convinced slaveholding states to secede. Provide reasons why the North and the South believed that the Civil War would end quickly. These are great ways for a teacher to start discussion or for a student to get started with their research project. Stonewall riots, you need resources for LGBTQ. This gives the history of the LGBT movement. There are lots of things about the history of civil rights, integration of baseball, Brown v. Board of Education, Plessy versus Ferguson. We've got Wounded Knee. Then some more fun ones like Woodstock, which talks about the effect of music and what was happening in the 1960s. Lots of stuff about suffrage, both for African Americans and women. Japanese American internment is covered. It's a really rich resource and lots of good content here. I'm going to spend a few minutes on this newest resource, Milestone Documents. Milestone Documents has 1,500 primary sources covering American history, African American history. It's organized according to these major topics: Western civilization, world history, Latin America, Africa, Asia, the Near East, Japan, China, the Middle East since the rise of Islam, and world religions. I'm just going to show you a couple of examples. We're still in Black History Month here, so I'm going to and we're approaching Women's History Month. So I'm choosing Ella Baker. Ella Baker's a lesser well-known member of the Civil Rights Movement. And you see here in our FactSite search box, you can choose, I typed here Ella Baker. You can choose to search in all, which is searching all FactSite databases, or you can restrict your search to a specific database. So if you only wanted to find primary sources, you could restrict it. I'm going to leave it as all so that you can see what that would look like for a student. So we have a 1,700 word biography. In our search results, we give a little bit of an abstract, the name of the database that the hit's coming from, and the word count. So we have a 1,700 word biography. We have a 1,600 word biography in the Defining Moments database, which I just showed you. And then we have this primary source, The Black Woman in the Civil Rights Struggle. It's a 3,500 word article. Then we have another one, another primary source in Milestone Documents, Bigger Than a Hamburger by Ella Baker. Here's another one by Ella Baker, 2,600 words. Something else in Defining Moments. So you'll get quite a few hits when you use the search in all for certain topics. Now I'm going to take a look at what the actual primary source document format is. Here we see, this is the title of her speech, The Black Woman in the Civil Rights Struggle. Again, you can listen, add to Google Classroom. The document was, the speech was given in 1969. A large proportion, not 100%, but a large proportion of the most frequently researched or the most significant documents have scholarly commentary by a named scholar. And here we have Kirk Beats from UC Davis. This tells you what other articles are related to this particular speech. And then these sections include an overview of the article. This will have been written by the scholar. Tell a little bit about who she was and what puts the document in context. Then the text of the document itself is here. Easy to read format. Also, students can use the audio read-along if you're working with younger researchers. Then the next section will be about the author. This will be a little biography of Ella Baker. And then here's the analysis. It talks about what it was like to be there at the speech. There are more than 200 scholars who've contributed to this database. So, you know, scholars write from different points of view. So you'll get different styles of writing and different depths of analysis depending on the document you're reading. But the scholarly analysis is a real plus for students. There are also teaching resources included with this database. And finally, I wanted to mention about our citations. FactSite is integrated fully with NoodleTools, so students can cite their articles in their NoodleTools subscription. If you click here on the citation link, it will take you directly into your NoodleTools subscription. If you're not a NoodleTools user, the ML8 citation is always included in every database, so you can copy that, paste it into your bibliography. And also, every FactSite article includes this feature. Would you like to comment on this article? When you click here, it opens up a box which sends an email directly to our managing editor. You might be concerned about, does this violate children's privacy rights? And I want to assure you that we have no way to track individual student users. Our subscriptions are authenticated by IP address, Schoology, ClassLink, whatever learning management system you use, but we do not upload individual student credentials. So we will not know, we will only know that this came from a particular school subscription. We won't have information about what student um, submitted the comment. But we get really helpful suggestions and content requests here. And this is one of the ways that we identify new resources for development in FactSite. We consider all of our subscribers our partners, and we encourage our subscribers to use that box to send us their suggestions. We're working on biographies this week that came in, biographies and also animals um, based on suggestions that came in from students. So we take those that input quite seriously. We consider it free market research, and we encourage you to use that feature to send us comments. Now, I forgot to pause and ask, are we high school, or Carly, do you want to tell me, do you want to unmute
Sure.
yourself?
So we have one high school here.
Okay, great. And don't hesitate to ask me questions if you have some uh, questions as I'm going along with our databases. I didn't really focus on these two biography databases, but they both have lots of content. Sports Champions has over 700 biographies of notable people in sports, and it's a really great, even browsing resource if you've got sports fans in your school. I want to show a little bit more about Milestone Documents. We're going to be doing next week a webinar on resources for Women's History Month, and one of the handouts accompanying that webinar will be a list of milestone documents that were written, speeches given, etc. by women. And in addition to, I just showed you Ella Baker, I had another less frequently researched but very interesting person, Mary Church Terrell, or Terrell, who is writing about progress of colored women. That's the way that terminology was used in 1898. And Michael J. O'Neill has done the scholarly overview on this and also the analysis. And I think her documents are going to be something that perhaps your students weren't familiar with, but they're quite interesting. And then you see the list of related documents: Plessy versus Ferguson, Ida B. Wells, W.E.B. Du Bois, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, lots of familiar names, Shirley Chisholm, first African American woman elected to Congress. Lots of familiar names related to, with themes related to this particular document. So that's another feature of this document that people are finding quite helpful. For next year, we're going to be including some additional resources for middle school students who are using primary sources, because we're finding that that's an area that definitely needs some more support. And primary sources can be challenging for a less proficient reader. So we'll be adding some excerpts and highlights, and even for students who are less proficient readers in high school, I think that'll be helpful for them. Okay, science and technology. Science and technology database includes modules on the elements, the planets, animals, plants, earth science, physics, and chemistry. The elements section is an interactive periodic table, and the elements are also listed in alphabetical order. You can click on any of the elements. Every element is presented in the same format. So you see here, we start at the top saying how the element got its name. And we had one student send us a comment that this was the only place they could find that information. I'm not sure that's legitimate, but we love compliments, so we were happy to get that one. Then you see the block from the periodic table, the atomic diagram. There's information here for more advanced students. And then there's information about how the element was discovered, what the properties of the element are, chemical reactions, whether there are isotopes, and you see here there's some clickable links for related articles, valence, atomic radius, how abundant is the element. So take a look at how abundant the element is on Earth. And this, of course, varies significantly from element to element. What are the sources of the element? We added a section last year on mining. Not every element is mined, but we'll have more detailed information about how the element is mined, whether the mining is environmentally hazardous or sustainable, what the trends are. Is the element found in the human body? How is the element used, and is it possible to recycle the element? Students are really interested in um, environmental aspects of science and the environmental applications of the various elements. So we've included that for all the elements in the periodic table as well. Solar system, same thing. This is an interactive um, diagram of the solar system. You can click on any of the planets. They all follow, all the planet articles follow the same format. So abstract at the top gives the basic facts. Then there are some more advanced facts following. There are always sections about whether the planet has moons, if there have been missions. If you weighed 100 pounds on Earth, how much would you weigh on the planet? How long would it take you to travel there? If you could drive on an interstate, it would take you 638 years. Is human travel possible or feasible? And there are lots of images from NASA included in this section. I showed you the animals module from FactCite 123. That steps up. All the modules from FactCite 123, our lowest reading level database, step up to this one. And some high school students, especially if you have a lot of English language learners, combine a subscription of FactCite 123 and these other databases, because sometimes English language learners need a little bit simpler article to be able to acquire their academic vocabulary. Plants, earth sciences covers general topics about weather phenomenon, things like that. Physics, there's a timeline of discoveries in physics, notable people in physics, and chemistry, the same thing. I know I'm running short, getting close to running short on time, so I don't want to dwell on that too much, but I want to encourage anybody to come back and request a trial. We're very generous with our trials, and we'd love for you to take a trial, let your students test drive FactSite and see how it works for them. That's the best way to know whether a subscription is right for you. Our countries and cultures database, similar to many of our competitors. Of course, we have all the countries of the world included here. I might mention that in FactSite 123, we don't include all 194 countries of the world. We include the most frequently researched countries, and also we've added profiles in FactSite 123, our lowest reading level resource, for the countries where we have significant immigrant populations in the United States, Central America, the Caribbean. Those countries wouldn't necessarily have been the most frequently researched, but students like to be able to see, we talk a lot about the mirror in the window, and students like to be able to see information about where they're from and what their family has experienced. And so we've added for younger researchers those countries where we have lots of immigrant populations. So let's take a look at what one of these looks like. This database is appropriate for students from 4th grade through high school. And I know that seems like a big range, but this is why. The information that's provided at the beginning is fairly straightforward general information about the country. Really great for 4th graders, geography. But for those students who are more advanced, there's information about more advanced information about the economy. There's more advanced information about where do I want to go? The government. If you have students who are competing in Model United Nations, we have information about human rights situation, whether the country is in conflict with other countries or whether they have alliances so that your students would know which other country teams they could team up with at a Model United Nations event. We worked with the Model UN um, activities in both Ohio and Kentucky to develop those sections, and they've been quite popular with students competing in Model UN. We also have a great section on the landmarks of the world. This is just if your feet are getting itchy to travel in this time of COVID when we haven't been able to go anywhere, this is just a really fun section to browse for notable places around the world. All right. And then our final database is Lincoln Library of Essential Information. This is based on a general encyclopedia that was first published in 1924, designed for people to learn at home. It was named for Abraham Lincoln because he was self-taught. And it's organized according to broad topic area. A popular section is the literature section. So there's the literatures of the world. We cover, I think there are 36 different literatures here. These articles were all written by um, scholars, notable scholars. Let's take a look at French. This one was written by, let me go to the end of the article and see, Charles Porter, who was at Yale University. He's he wrote this article on French literature, and it's designed to be, I don't like to say Wikipedia, but it's an overview of the topic for the layperson. And at the end of every article, we ask the contributors to say, what 10 works of your particular literature should a person be familiar with? Or what are the 10 sort of touchstone or landmark works? And so each one of the scholars presented his or her list of works that he felt were the most significant through history. Um, let's see, what else is popular? The religion section in essential information is really popular as well. Articles on all the different um, religious works. And again,
Or excuse you, your 10-minute warning you wanted. Just letting you.
oh, great. Thank you so much. I
Uh-huh.
appreciate it. Um, again, the Google style search, essential information are all, and you'll bring up the hits for your particular topic. Does anybody have any questions for me as we're winding up for the last 10 minutes? I want to just, before we finish, I want to show you our tips for teachers section where we have lesson plans. Tips for teachers are found, there's this icon with the apple. There's also a hot link on the bottom of every FactSite page leading to tips for teachers. And here you'll find getting started videos. Each database has a getting started video. And also the K to 8 bundle with the Step Up to a Reading challenges shown here. You can check that out. You can also, oh, I went back one screen too far. You can also take a look at the FactSite 123 and Lingo. We have activities that cover the 4 domains of language acquisition: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And those can also apply to students who aren't learning English. That there are discussion prompts. They're really great for use in remote learning. So a teacher might take a look at one of the mythology entries and have a question about maybe the goddess of beauty. What does beauty mean to you? Um, just different topical discussions that students can pick up on or that a teacher could use in remote learning. There are also, if we click here, you'll see there's always a worksheet, which is great for English language learners, which requires that they listen or read the article and answer some questions. And there's always a teacher's key. So if you want to assign the article and then or the activity and then be able to grade it quickly, we have a teacher's key available there. Um, let's see what else is available in tips for teachers. We have Focus On. These are activities. Every Thursday, we do an eBlast Throwback Thursday, which highlights events on that particular day in history. And we frequently include a lesson plan that focuses on some aspect of that, something that happened in that particular week. So, um, one week, there was somebody, one of Jonas Salk perhaps, who had developed a vaccine. So we have an activity about vaccines. We have lessons, 6 lessons on the Civil War. There's a lesson on landforms. There's a lesson on inventors. There's a Morse code activity that allows students to participate over Zoom using a fist or an open hand as the coding. I want to mention that FactSite is a very low bandwidth requiring resource. It works well on every device, smartphone, tablet, and because it's a low bandwidth requiring resource, um, if students are learning at home and everybody in the household is sharing the Wi-Fi, they're less likely to cause the crash um, of the family system because FactSite doesn't require much bandwidth at all. So we hope you'll come back. I'm going to go back to my um, PowerPoint so I can put up my contact us screen. Was I successful in coming back to this one?
You were.
Great. Thank you. So we're always here to help. Here's my screen. Enter the CSLA raffle. If you visit our booth, you can enter our raffle. We're, of course, offering as a prize a FactSite subscription, but we have some other fun prizes too. Some FactSite swag, our signature blinky glasses. Oh, and I forgot to show that particular request a trial. If you request a trial, we'll be sure to send you a pair of our signature blinky glasses. And if you like blinky glasses, be sure to tell us what color you like. We have a number of color options available, not just red. So I'll leave this screen up and hope that you'll all come to visit us in our booth. And also, you can at any time request a FactSite tour one-on-one with me or a FactSite tour for your faculty. We're happy to do that anytime you'd like to schedule that. And thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Gail. With a lot of other stuff. Anybody want to unmute and have anything to say? It's, now would be the time.
That's right. I'm standing by. Well, thanks so much for hosting me. It was great to meet you, and I appreciated your help yesterday, of course.
Oh yes, yeah. Thank you. Okay, looks like people are moving on to the next one. If that's, are you okay if I close it and get ready for the next one?
Absolutely.
All right.
Have a great rest of the conference.
You too, and remember, like the conversations now, you could see. I haven't been able to check them, but Discord is open for other people talking.
And there will be a recording, right?
Yeah, I'm recording it right now. It's just going to take a little bit of time for the volunteers to get them up.
Yeah, and it's kind of long. I mean, that's the thing. But anyway,
Yeah, they'll get that. I mean, they'll probably cut out like the beginning and the end parts, stuff like that.
cool. Okay, well, it's great to meet you.
All right, off
And
to the
don't
next.
forget and don't forget to check out your FactSite trial after the conference is over.
Yeah, with a lot of, I have a folder of stuff that people are saying to look at, and it's all just dropped into a folder. I had to
Yeah,
say that right
but
now.
but I want to assure you, you don't have to avoid eye contact with me. No high pressure. I just hope that you'll
Oh, I forgot that
share
story.
share share with your social studies teachers and don't
Okay.
hesitate to send over some questions.
Okay, sounds
And
good.
thanks so much for your help.
All right. Bye. Have a good day, guys.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye.